Welcome to part 3 of Ellie's engine rebuild, and in this one we'll be investigating the leaks and hopefully going for a drive. Still some way to go though. I apologise for the strange humming noise. That's the computer up in the office, which is currently uploading part 2 of the Ellie engine rebuild. So without further ado, let's crack on. Right, what I think I've done wrong on the oil cooler is I don't think the seals were sitting in the right place. You can see you've got a clean mark on this tube on the old cleaner, but the seal sat there. I think it might have got pushed over this lip, which is not a good thing. So hopefully not too damaged, because I don't think the seal kit has new seals for those in. But I'm going to have to get this cowling back off again, which means disconnecting the throttle cable. Incidentally, this is a little modification recommended by a friend of mine, Ken Hanna, who is perhaps the absolute guru of 2CV stuff. The throttle can seize fully open, which is not great fun because wear builds up in the carburetor, but using the cable tie changes the height of the spring, and it tends to stop it doing that, because frankly, who wants a throttle that jams open? It's rather exciting. Right, I'll disconnect my new wiring and that one there, making sure I know which one's which actually. Oh, it's alright, one's a spade one way, one's a circular the other, so my inconsistency pays off. And yeah, we'll get this cowling off so we can have a closer look at these unions. Well, the good news is I don't seem to have damaged the pipes, but these seals, oh, it's never going to focus on that, are you? But yeah, that looks a bit awful, but it's okay because I did find the seal kit. Here we go, still got some seals left over, and I can see a couple of oil cooler unions, so we'll get those out and we'll fit new seals, and hopefully this time all will be well. So there we go, we got the oil cooler fitted for a second time. Well, I must remember to refit the securing bolt along the back, but because of the unique way in which I've done the wiring, I've got to refit that shroud to get the 123 ignition back in to give her a test run. But I think I might be able to get away with just putting that loosely in place, so I don't actually go to the trouble of fitting it in which case I'd better bolt down the engine mounts. So we'll get that bolt in and we'll give her a run just to check how she is. Right, get ourselves some oil pressure. Blimey, that's zero choke already. Oh. Maybe needs a bit more than zero. The good news is, those joints now appear to be much drier. Hopefully that's done the job. Right, in theory I should be able to drive her out. I haven't actually connected the throttle up, but nice strong tick over. Now we're outside, I can run her for a bit longer. That looks reassuringly dry, I'd say. Oil's starting to burn off the exhaust manifold. Perhaps a little bit tappy because I've got the valve clearances set fairly loose. 25mm exhaust, 20mm on the inlet. I would rather have that than too tight. Make sure that wiring's not touching anywhere it shouldn't be. Marvellous. Cheers. So while I have a tea break and ponder my next move, I thought I'd just have a bit of a chat about what I'm actually trying to do with these videos. I mean, Hubnut, as I keep repeating, is not the home of the finest engineering. So I'm clearly not here to show you how to do it. It's more like how not to do it. But I guess what I'm really trying to do is prove that anyone can have a go. I'm not a competent mechanic. I've learned a lot about working on 2CVs over the years, but there's still an awful lot I don't know. So really, I'm just hoping I can inspire other people to have a go. Get brave, get the spanners out. If there's one tip I'd give you for working on 2CVs, it's tightening torques matter. Those aluminium engines are quite fragile, so you can't go around being too ham-fisted and just tightening everything up too really tight. It won't work. This is not a prop, this actually is a good cup of tea. But yeah, there's excellent support for these cars online. Lots of friendly folk in various Facebook groups. There's the 2CV Club of Great Britain. They'll have a stand at the NEC, so do go and say hello to them. And yeah, I mean, the best thing is the simplicity. I mean, look at what's going on here. Let's go and have a closer peek at exactly what is going on with this engine. So, I mean, I've literally thrown it together, and that is correct use of the word literally. An increasingly uncommon fad these days even. So, yeah, I've got the wires sticking through there, coming up to the coil, which is just chucked on top of the carburettor. We've got wires hanging around all over the place, and I'm just basically making sure these alternator wires don't contact anything metal, because that gets quite exciting when they do. So we've got no charging going on at the moment because there's no alternator belt. I haven't got the cooling fan fitted, so I can't run the engine for very long in one go. But this is all part of tinkering at my level. If you knew what you were doing, you would confidently put the engine together completely, and then you'd call that done. You'd go for a test drive and say, brilliant. I'm not confident enough in my own abilities. And I was right to question myself, because those oil cooler unions were leaking yesterday. Today they're not, and this is good news indeed. I do apologise for the fact the sound hasn't been brilliant on this video. It's only now I've actually got the proper microphone connected up and the gimbal for some actual steadiness. It does make quite a difference, doesn't it, the old gimbal? But yeah, the two aren't particularly practical when I'm doing hands-on stuff. I'm going to try and do something a bit better moving forward. But anyway, my tea's getting cold and I can't drink it while I'm talking to you. So I'm going to finish my tea and then we'll get this thing buttoned back up properly. Grand. Perfect tea shelf. Another advantage of the 2CV, if I just put her in neutral, is they're very, very light. So very easy to push around. That's me just tripping over a stool, don't worry. I think we can go back a bit more, Ellie. That should do. Job's a good one. Right, stage one, get the cowling back on properly. That means taking the electronic ignition off again, and because this bit gets in the way of the cowling going home. But that's okay, we'll reset the ignition timing again. Right, let's explain a bit about how you actually set the ignition timing, because obviously that's key to making the electronic ignition work. There's a slot on the flywheel, and you can just see a drill bit I've got that goes through the timing hole and it has locked the flywheel. I'm going to remove that now, because failure to do so can cause all manner of pretty serious issues. You can cause big problems. If you try turning the engine without the drill bit in, you can jam everything up. And what I did was made some fresh timing marks. So from this angle, the mark on the tuff is what's important. That lines up with that mark I've made on the bell housing. And I just need to check the instructions, because you either get it so the light's just on or just off. I'm just going to check which one. So it's at the timing mark and the light's on. Now it might be a complete fluke that I've just happened to get it in the right place, but I suspect not. So if we just rotate this unit, there we go, that's the light going out, which would suggest it was too far advanced. So now I've just got to try and push it gently round until the light comes on. Oh, that didn't go so smoothly. Might be easier with two hands again, or maybe I'll loosen the nuts a bit more and have another go. Right, now it's a bit easier to rotate. Oh, there we go. That is right on the cusp, right there, isn't it? So, right, there we go. That is just on. So I'm going to tighten the box there, and then we'll have a go and check it. Right, so I've now tightened the points box, the light is on, I've just turned the engine round, and as that light came on I stopped, and the timing mark is about bob on. So we'll say that's job done. Excellent. Now I need to tidy up this wiring, because the fan will be going round in there, and if it shreds the wires, that's kind of a disaster. And then we can start reassembling. I think there's a backing plate to go back on here, then a rubber panel to stop water getting into this section. Well, I've been refitting the cowling, and I can honestly say I hate that job. Can never get at anything, because I should probably put it on before putting all the manifold and everything on, but then I can't test the engine and still see what's going on. And yeah, it doesn't help that this Burton kit of fasteners for it is absolutely rubbish. I mean, I love what the Burton guys do, and a lot of what they do is truly great, but look at the length of screw. That's an original screw, and it's quite easy to sort of thread it through and get it in the fastener, instead of replacing them with these tiddly little things that have got no length at all. So trying to get them to connect is just hopeless. And these inserts, there's meant to be an insert in this hole here, so you can screw into it, and the insert just keeps falling out, so that's not a lot of use. And again, the bolts are ridiculously short. It is frustratingly rubbish, this kit, and 25 quid. And I think those are meant to run into there. They don't seem to run very nicely either, so yeah, I'm going to say seek the originals, because yeah, these are good. But anyway, fans back on, alternators back on. I've actually swapped the alternator for a spare, because the original had a bit of a crack on the housing. And I'm going to have some lunch now. Right, here we go then. Let's just record the mileage. So 209,000 miles. She gets her new pistons and barrels. Let's just have a test drive of the driveway. Tick over sounds a little high. Oh no, it's the choke cable not shutting off properly, that's more like it. Oh, beautiful smell of burning oil. Burns off all the hot things. Right, there we go, all back together, indicators working. Let's go for a drive. Oh. Right then. Curse these short days, feels like I'm running out of daylight. Obviously didn't fasten the roof down last time. That's what I get for opening the roof while I'm in the garage. Right, with such excitement over. Ooh. You sure your Astra's meant to sound like that, mate? We shall go this way because this is the least hilly route I know. I mean, so far it feels so normal, but I can't really access the extra just yet. Was the BMW that we saw at the Chumley pageant at 1000 Classics rather. Well, it certainly smells. Sorry, the light levels are a bit of a problem for this camera. Friends Gareth and I are walking their misbehaving dogs. They're quite amusing. Dog occasionally jumps on my bus because I drive the weekly community bus on occasion. Not as much as I'd like lately. It's been too busy. Growl, isn't there? I don't think I like this running in business. It means I drive my 2CV how I do not drive my 2CV. Gently. I haven't actually got a rev counter, so I'm having to very much play it by ear. A bit anticlimactic because I can't give her the beans. I mean, we're going uphill at the moment. She isn't noticing all that much really. Or maybe it's because I've been driving the Invacar a lot lately. Poor Tuck does not like hills. As well as an increase in capacity to 652cc, the compression ratio has also gone up from 8.5 to 1 to 9 to 1.
That was the compression ratio used in the Diane, which always had a bit more power than the 2CV. Different jetting, a few other tricks. Dianes and later Amis sort of have supercharging, but not really. Where the fan blows air into the carburettor, but it doesn't compress it, so it's not proper supercharging. Some people claim it makes a difference, some say not. It's certainly nice to be back in the 2CV again. It's been a while. I don't like being without my 2CV, but with that oil leak, I thought, no, I better not risk it, and I'm glad as well, because if that pipe had full on fractured, she could have lost the entire contents of her sump pretty quickly, and that would not have been good. Which is kind of what you want for running in. Yeah, I mean that's uphill. I'd say that's feeling perkier, but it's so hard to tell. Oh, this is like being given all your Christmas presents, but then told you can't actually play with them. Hester and Richard. I think Hester was videoing that. Happy birthday, Hester. Oh, I just want to redline it. Where are we? 209,159 miles. So what have we got to do? Is that about 1,500? Maybe a bit more than 1,500 miles of driving gently. Oh. I'm sure she sounds a little bit throatier. And there we go. That's the first 2 miles covered on the new pistons and barrels. Having to take it frustratingly easy, but it sure seems to work. I'll do a fluid check and obviously just have a look around, make sure all is well. But yeah, exciting times. Ellie is back together. She's back usable again. That's good because I've been missing her. And yeah, another working vehicle on the Hubnut fleet. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and I shall see you in a future video. Farewell.